the FBI has announced they will not make an arrest in the Shanquella Robinson case. So many have been paying attention to this since we first got that graphic video. This young woman will not apparently get justice. Her family won't. The U.S. Attorney's Office in North Carolina announced on Wednesday they will not pursue criminal charges in the case of Shanquella Robinson, with the FBI and federal prosecutors both ending their investigations into her mysterious death. Robinson, we'll remind you, age 25, she died in October under suspicious circumstances. That was a day after she arrived in Cabo, Mexico. She was on vacation with 6 people. The FBI opened an investigation into her death in November. The 6 travelers who were with Robinson gave conflicting explanations as to how she died. They reportedly told her mother she died of alcohol poisoning, while her death certificate shows she died of severe spinal cord injury and atlas luxation, a broken neck is what that means. Her family members have said Robinson's body showed bruises consistent with being beaten. Robinson's story has gone viral, and Mexican authorities have issued an arrest warrant for femicide, similar to homicide, for Dejani Jackson, one of the 6 travelers, according to lawyers for her family, Benjamin Crump and Sue Ann Robinson. Those lawyers wrote a letter to the White House in March, citing information from Mexican prosecutors. U.S. officials on Wednesday made clear there is no criminal suspect stemming from the FBI investigation, but did not specify the Department of Justice or Department of State's position for extradition. However, there's more. The Department of Justice met with Robinson's family and attorneys Wednesday morning, telling them it has completed its investigation and will not prosecute any of the 6. North Carolina U.S. Attorney Sandra J. Hairston and Dina J. King released a joint statement saying this: based on the results of the autopsy and after a careful deliberation and review of the investigative materials by both U.S. attorneys' offices, federal prosecutors informed Mrs. Robinson's family today that the available evidence does not support federal prosecution. The Department of Justice said it would be open to reviewing new information should any come to light. The death of Ms. Robinson has been incredibly difficult for her family and the community. As a matter of policy, federal officials generally do not issue public statements concerning the status of an investigation. However, given the circumstances of Ms. Robinson's death and the public concern surrounding this investigation, it is important to reassure the public that experienced federal agents and seasoned prosecutors extensively reviewed the available evidence and have concluded that federal charges cannot be pursued. Jessica, this is heartbreaking. I don't know about you, but I never could watch even a portion of that video that went viral that showed her, as I recall from the explanations, naked, being beaten, and somebody disgustingly filming that. And now to have her come back in a body bag and her family have to bury her and nothing's going to be done by the feds. What's your read on this?
Absolutely, you're right. Heartbreaking story. The local coverage here in Charlotte and across North Carolina has been pretty constant for this group that was in Mexico. It's just tragic. Nobody would expect this kind of thing to happen when you're on vacation trying to have a good time. The family being so concerned, right? Seeing their deceased family member in this state, seeing things that are consistent with someone injuring her while she was still alive, seeing, the cut on her lip and her having a swollen lip. They know that something happened beyond just alcohol poisoning and an accident. We all know that it was something more than that. And so this case is really calling into question, how does justice happen across borders when we have people traveling so frequently? And the frequency of global travel, we only expect to increase over time. So how are we going to get justice in cases like this that are complicated because things happen over cross borders? I think now more people are invested in that because of this case. But unfortunately, what the federal prosecutors, are saying, that this isn't a case for federal prosecution, what the investigators are saying to the public, it's not very reassuring. we're not getting much from these updates. They're not giving us any information. And I think that makes people more concerned about what if this happens again.
I couldn't agree more, and it makes Black people more concerned.
Yeah.
It feels like, and there seems to be enough evidence that Black bodies aren't important, that crimes against Black women, Black people, seems like the Mexican authorities are paying, seems that way, closer attention here. Can we read that into this case, or is that unfair?
I think it's completely fair. Completely fair. If we had a case not so long ago, actually, this isn't even like a fictional case, where there was an influencer who mysteriously disappeared while traveling in a van with her partner. Everybody was talking about this. The investigation was extremely thorough. She went missing. Everybody was talking about it online. We don't really see that. I mean, I see it on local news here in Charlotte. We don't see that for this case. Why is it such a double standard when something happens to a Black person, a Black woman, especially this kind of violence? I think we all want to live in a world where Ben Crump can finally go on vacation. I don't know how he's handling the caseload, but the amount of cases we have of violence against Black people in our society and law enforcement doing nothing about it until we have these civil rights attorneys taking the cases. The justice system is not working as it is. Why does Ben Crump have to take all of these cases? And we hear his name so frequently because we have so many cases like this. I want to live in a world where he goes on vacation, to be honest.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. I think he deserves a nice vacation on an island somewhere where he's not haunted by all of the details that he's had to drink in over, at this point, the past decade. But it's one that we're going to keep following. Hopefully something will come of this. Something will come of this.